Hey everyone, it's Penny and welcome back. I know it's been a really long time since my last video and I do apologize for that, but I went to a local used bookstore yesterday and ended up with quite the bag of books. So I wanted to share that with you guys and just do a quick book haul. It is my intention to start filming more videos, but I don't have any kind of posting schedule. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be filming. So just subscribe and bear with me. Eventually it will be regular, but I'm still just kind of trying to get back into it. Now, all of these books are mass market paperbacks except for one. And a lot of them, I don't know exactly what they're about, so I'll leave a link to Goodreads, to the Goodreads page down below if you want to know a little bit more. So I'm just gonna reach in and start pulling them out. I don't know what I'm gonna grab. First off, we have one of the mini Star Trek books in this bag. So I've been to this bookstore a few times and I never noticed the Star Trek shelf, which was very bottom of one of the bookshelves and kind of tucked away behind some other things. So I got a lot. This one is Strike Zone by Peter David. Again, I don't know what a lot of these Star Trek books are about, but I don't really need to. I love Star Trek. I don't know if you can notice, but this top shelf is almost entirely Star Trek books. I will read anything except for like new Star Trek, you know, Picard, Discovery, not into it. But again, this one is Strike Zone by Peter David. Peter David has written a ton of Star Trek books, and for the most part, I like them. I just don't like that out of the ones I've read, Wesley plays a very major role, which I'm assuming he does in this one because he's on the cover, but he is one of my least favorite characters, so hopefully I can find some Peter David books without him being a big part of it. Next up, we have a romance book. This is Heart of Fire by Kat Martin. I was actually with a friend who suggested this one to me, so I don't know what it's about. It is a historical romance, and we all love the setbacks. So, again, I don't know what it's about, but I am looking forward to reading it. There's a couple of genres that I'm not super acquainted with, and romance is one of them. So I've been trying to experiment a little bit and read more romance. So this is one of the few that I got when I went yesterday. Next up, we have another Star Trek novel. This is Contamination by John Varnholt. Again, I don't know exactly what these are about, but I will very eagerly be reading them. And then we have Star Trek Fartsons Light by Michael Jan Friedman. One day I might make a video about how much I love Star Trek and the influence it's had on me, and how much I hate the new Star Trek series like Discovery and Picard. I am so not a fan of those. Anyway, on to the next book. This next one is one that my friend picked out because they had 2 copies of and she wanted to do a buddy read. So this is The Cool Stars by John Birmingham. I know this is sci-fi, obviously, but I don't know anything else about it. It looks like humanity is facing extinction, and there's an infamous pirate. That's enough for me, so good choice on her part. I feel like this video is going to be so awkward. I am so awkward with filming, but I really do want to break into book 2 because sometimes I don't feel like writing, even though I have been updating my blog a lot more than I have been. So I apologize for the awkwardness. The next book is the second book that my friend picked out for her buddy read because, again, they had 2 copies of it. This is Dampere by Barb and J.C. Hendy. The tagline is part vampire, part human, perfect hunter. I don't know how to feel about this one. It's not something that I would typically pick up for myself, but because my friend wanted to read it, I am all in. Um, the cover seemed a little edgelordy to me, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I haven't read a lot of vampire books. I never got into that whole paranormal and paranormal romance genre, so we'll see what happens with that one. Next up, we have another romance book. This is Untamed by Elizabeth Lau. And there's the setback, very steamy. Another Star Trek book. This is War Drums by John Vornholt. And then we have a Star Trek Voyager book called Chrysalis by David Now Wilson. I'm intrigued by the fact that Harry Kim is on the cover since he's kind of a pointless character, but we'll see what happens. Okay, this next one, it's probably the one I'm most intrigued by out of all the books I got because it looks amazing. It was published in 1984, so the book is actually older than I am, and it's called The Fire Sword by Adrienne Martine Barnes. Look at that cover. It's so, like, inspired by, like, the 80s and heavy metal, I feel like, and fantasy, and it looks amazing. The tagline is, "She awoke to a bygone world of enchantment, danger, and love." And I'm guessing this is a high fantasy romance, but it looks so amazing. I love the cover. Oh, it's beautiful. Next up, we have the one that my boyfriend made fun of me for buying. I didn't realize what this was when I bought it until I got home and I was looking at them. But when I figured out what it was, I wanted to read it even more. This is the Unicorn Bride by Claire Delacroix. And it's a unicorn shifter romance, and that sounds beautiful and fantastical, and I can't wait to read it. Unfortunately, there's no setback on this though, which is a travesty. Okay, next up we've got two more Star Trek books. We've got The Last Stand by Brad Ferguson. And the best thing about all these Star Trek books is that they are in perfect condition. The spines are great. It doesn't even look like they've been read. The pages are a little yellowed, but not bad. So I am intrigued. Okay, this is one of the best Star Trek ones I picked up because the cover is amazing. This is A Rock in a Hard Place by Peter David. And it has Riker fighting a space polar bear or space polar wolf. And it looks amazing. Okie doke. So I picked up 3 more Star Trek books. I don't know how many Star Trek books I got, but the man that owns the bookstore ended up giving me a discount because he said that he's had them for a long time and people don't really buy them. So I bought them. This one is The Captain's Honor by David and Daniel Dvorkin. Then we've got The Romulan Prize by Simon Hawke. And then one that I'm super intrigued by, which is IQ by John Delancey and Peter David. And if you don't know, John Delancey is the actor who plays Q. So super intrigued by that one. Okay, next up we have another old romance book. This is Glorious Angel by Johanna Lindsey. Again, this is one that does not have a setback, but I picked this up because I have heard a lot of romance booktubers talk about Johanna Lindsey. So I wanted to give her a shot because, again, I'm just kind of picking up random romance books and experimenting with them to see what subgenres of romance that I like. Then, this is another one that I'm super stoked about. This is The Awakeners, Volume 1 by Sherry Tepper, and this was published in 1987, so the year I was born. Look at that cover. They just don't make fantasy and science fiction covers like they used to. I love all this old retro art. And it's one of the reasons I like the particular bookstore that we went to, because they seem to specialize in old mass market paperbacks. So not only do you walk out of the bookstore with a huge bag of books if you want it and without spending much money, but you get gems like this. And I know this is a fantasy book, and it seemed kind of like an environmental fantasy, so I am going to read this one soon. Next up, we have a fantasy book by an author that I have not read since high school. I remember way back in the day reading this author. Oh, okay, I realized that this is actually written by 3 people. But this is The Shadow of the Lion by Mercedes Lackey, Eric Flint, and Dave Freer. And the author I was specifically talking about is Mercedes Lackey. I read a ton of her books in high school. I don't remember much about them, but I remember loving them. So when I saw this for just $1 or $2, I definitely wanted it. I don't know anything about this, but it was the only Mercedes Lackey book they had. So I picked it up, and it's a big boy. But I can't wait to give this a shot. Then we've got another Star Trek novel, of course, with incredible art. This is Gulliver's Fugitives by Keith Sherry. Look at that. The little dragon. I love it. Okay, well, I can see the bottom of the bag now. Okay, we have 3 more Star Trek books. We've got Nightshade by Laura K. Hamilton. We've got Ghost Ship by Diane Carey. And then we've got a Deep Space Nine novel called Proud Helios by Melissa Scott, which is Deep Space Nine versus Interstellar Pirates. You probably noticed that a lot of the Star Trek books are the next generation, which I love. I think I love the next generation and Deep Space Nine in equal measure. Of course, I also love the original series Enterprise and Voyager, but it's really Deep Space Nine and the next generation that I look forward to rewatching over and over again. And since I don't like the new Star Trek shows, it's through books like this that I get new stories. So a lot of these are next generation. Next up, we have the only non-mass market paperback. This is Fidget the Great, edited by Lewis L. Snyder. Just a historical figure I don't know anything about. And it was only $6, so figured I would get it and give it a shot. Okay, and now we're down to the last 5. So the next one we've got is a historical romance called The Raven and the Rose by Susan Riggs. And the beautiful Step back. I just had a brain fart. Again, don't know what this is about. This is also in amazing shape. It's so nice to see mass market paperbacks that are not falling apart. Next, this is the last non-Star Trek book, and I admit, this one, I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I bought it because of the cover. This is Alien Island by T.L. Sherrod. Isn't that amazing? And the tagline is, "A hopeless drunk was the only art representative the Reagans would accept." I don't need to know what this is about to know that this is going to be fun. But God, this art, even if I end up not liking this book, I imagine I'm going to hold on to it just for the cover art. then finally, I know this is gonna be a long video, but we've got the last 3 Star Trek books, all the Next Generation. So we've got The Forgotten War by William R. Fartston. If you recognize that author's name, he is the author of the One Second After trilogy, which is a post-apocalyptic trilogy that's set just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, which is where I'm from. And I love the first book in that trilogy. I haven't read the second 2 yet, even though I have them. So when I saw that he had written this, I immediately scooped it up. Then we've got Chance to Dream by Howard Weinstein. Pretty basic. And then another one that I'm super stoked about, which is How There Be Dragons by John Parr. There's another space dragon on the cover of this one. So, yeah. So that was a quick book haul. I think there are 29 books, and again, most of them are Star Trek, and I'm super excited to add them to the collection that you already see up here. And that's not even all of the ones I have. They're kind of spread out throughout the house. If you guys want, one day I'll do a Star Trek collection video. I'm also going to one day do a collection or a video about all my Hobbit and Lord of the Rings books, which I collect. But anyway, let me know if you have read any of these, or if you want to read any of these. And again, I'm sorry for how awkward this video probably is. I'm just getting back into it, so I apologize. If you want to find out more about the books, I'll leave the links down below in the description box. If you want to check out my blog, I'll leave a link to that down below. And thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend.